if this video gets 1,000 views, I will be releasing the base for you guys as a docs to use. So yeah, like and subscribe, I guess. Anyway, first things first, you're gonna want to go into Gacha Club or any gacha app, pick the base that you're going to be using, and minimize the clothing just so it's easier for you to see the base. I removed most of the accessories and picked shorts so that we can see her legs a little bit more clearly. Next, you're gonna want to go into this studio so that you can resize your character and take a screenshot. I found that if you make the character this big, it's easier to get it clean. Also, you're gonna want to remove the name at the top. When you're done with that, you're gonna be moving into Iris Paint, and you're going to be using Mirror Tool, I believe it's called. These are the brushes that I will be using, so if you want to get a similar result, I'd advise you to use these brushes as well. When using the mirror tool, I'd advise you to stay close to the left side of the character. Trace for the most part the left side of the character depending on the body shape that you want, but stay as close to the left side as you want. As you can see, for the most part, I'm also referencing the left leg. It's basically tracing it completely. This is what you should end up with when you're done. Next, for the arms, you're also going to be tracing the left arm, and the left hand. I just use a hand that I draw for the most part. I don't really use the gacha base hands, but there are plenty of free to use hands on Pinterest that you can find. This is what your base should look like. I usually add a bust. You do not have to add this if you don't want to. Next, for the head, I keep the head kind of a square shape. I don't really care what the head looks like as long as it's not too big. And the ears I add kind of small onto the head. Next, you want to add the hairline. It doesn't really need to be anything significant since your bangs will be covering it for the most part. And then I add the back hair. It was pretty huge, so I had to shrink it down a bit. I end up shrinking the head a bit too in the video. This is what your base should look like once you're done. Next, moving on to line art. I'm not really going to be explaining this process, though I did keep most of it very slow. I don't know if people find it satisfying. I also didn't trace the bust, since if I'm going to be making this a docs character, I want people to be free to use it for a boy or a girl character. That's why I didn't include the bust. I also sometimes change the color. Where the black lines would overlap, I would change the color so that it's easier for me to see what I am doing. I ended up making the head smaller because it felt really disproportional, but after I fixed it, it looked much better. I add these loose strands on the inside of the hair. I feel like it makes everything look a little bit more detailed and put together, and it also looks really cute. I also erase the inner corners of the line art to give it more depth. It's a really small detail, but I feel like it makes things look really nice. Next, the coloring. I'll be speeding through this process since I'm pretty sure everybody knows how to fill in colors. I haven't changed the line art color yet, but this is generally just how I organize my layers. You can just copy this exactly, unless you're planning on keeping the hands on top. I don't normally, but you could do that. I'm also not going to be showing the coloring of the line art. I just color dropped her colors onto it, and then for the inside I chose a lighter color to just give things a little bit more pop. Where lines are on the inside and not on the outside, I make it a little bit lighter. This is what your base should generally look like when you're done. That's basically the end of the tutorial. It took me 15 minutes to finish this base, so maybe it can take you 15 minutes as well. If you guys do follow the tutorial, do tag me and let me see what you make. I'll be posting this on my community so you can screenshot it there, and you're welcome to trace it if you want, if this video ends up not doing well and I don't end up posting the base. If you ended up watching to the end, comment peanut so that I know that you finished watching the video. Bye!